10 years after a far-reaching nationwide strike over fuel held, another potentially mammoth protest is in the offing in Nigeria. Organized labor and its civil society's allies are now mobilizing Nigerians to rise against the government's move to increase the price of fuel from 165 naira per litre to between 380 and 408 naira. In this special report, Joke Adisa takes a look at the politics of deregulation of Nigeria's downstream sector.
A Greek gift it was when the then government chose to increase the price of petrol from 65 naira to 141 naira per litre, effective first day of the year 2012. For more than 1 week, organized labor and civil society groups staged a nationwide strike and sit-outs which paralyzed economic activities. At the end, the gale of protest forced the government to pull down the price from 141 naira to 95 naira per litre of petrol. 10 years down the line, history beckons as organized labor has begun mobilizing citizens towards taking to the streets to compel the authorities to get the refineries to work. In the midst of rising economic hardship, insecurity and declining spending power, government says it can no longer sustain the trillions of naira that go into fuel subsidy every year, especially with the Petroleum Industry Act now in place. It plans to replace the subsidy with a 5,000 naira transport grant to about 40 million of the poorest among the poor Nigerians.
Revenue currently remains our main fiscal challenge. Government remains committed to effective implementation of the strategic revenue growth initiatives to improve revenue collection, expenditure management, as well as fiscal sustainability.
When you are doing a rehabilitation of a refinery, you must have processes, and we admit that in the past we haven't done this well. For over 21 years now, we haven't had an effective turnaround maintenance on the Port Harcourt refinery, leading to the status that we find it today. What it simply means was failure of processes, and those processes that we have recognized, and one of them is to make sure that you have the right strategy.
Labour is particularly upset that government's planned increase in the pump price of fuel came at a time both parties had yet to reach a consensus on the twin issues of petrol and electricity prices. Organized labor is determined to hold nationwide rallies on January the 27th and February the 1st ahead of a nationwide strike.
This will closely be followed by a national protest which will take place on the 1st of February 2022 here in Abuja. This is to send a very strong message that the policy of either removal of subsidy or what they call deregulation, which will result to hike in the price of PMS, and we are aware that already is being proposed to be pegged at 380 to 408 naira per litre. This certainly will send many workers, many Nigerians and their family to their early graves.
It also advises the authorities to adopt effective economic policies to stop hyperinflation in the prices of basic goods and services, while the government argues the huge amount to be saved will be used to fund critical projects. Many citizens believe keeping the fuel price low is the only benefit they derive from the country.
Why are we paying for subsidy in the first place? Why can't we start looking at addressing the issues of our refineries? Why can't we start looking at, in every geopolitical zone, or even in every state, why can't we start looking at having a monocular refinery?
The president should look into it. The Senate president and his members, speaker and his members, should look into it critically and then find a solution. We are already in a hardship.
When you look at the reasons thereof and the issues Labour have put on ground, it is something that what everybody to join.
Where lies the way out? Issa Aremu is a veteran Labour activist and currently the Director General, Michael Imodu Labour Institute in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. He says social dialogue remains the only way forward.
Labour has raised concern about the implication of deregulation for workers' income, for availability of products, Labour has also been very strong to say that it's time for us to fix refineries, that we should stop importing what ordinarily we could have produced at home. Those are legitimate concerns of Labour. Of course, the government has also articulated its view to think social dialogue can provide the basis for everybody to look at what the facts are. But I think at the end of the day, we can have a win-win solution to all this.
Neither the government nor organised labour is backing down as the effective date for the commencement of the new price regime of petrol draws closer by the day. The expectations of many Nigerians is that both parties will find a meeting point that will be most favourable to the people who are already economically traumatized. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.